Pfizer documents contain evidence of the greatest crime against humanity in the history of our species. And I'm so sorry to have to walk you through this, but there's no way around it. We just have to go through. And the beauty of Hillsdale is that you all are tough and like truth. Hey.
Welcome everyone to the Best Damn Podcast. I'm your host, John Keane. As always, I would like to thank you guys for joining me. Ask that you please add, follow, and check us out. Instagram, Facebook, Best Damn Podcast, Twitter, The Real Best Damn, and wherever you're watching from, make sure to hit the thumbs up. Give us a like, leave a comment, let me know what you think, and share this link. That way new people can find us. And if you would like to donate and support the channel, support my work, you can do so by going to the links in the description box below. PayPal, Venmo, Patreon, Cash App, Facebook Messenger Pay. We have YouTube subscriptions, all that good stuff. You can also book a reading by texting 513-393-2296 or emailing therealbestdampodcast@gmail.com. I wanted to title this one, Welcome to the Future, because, well, you know, we all anticipated what the future would look like as we move into the age of technology, as we move closer to the new world order. You know, anybody in conspiracy circles, spiritual circles, anybody just really seeking the truth, you know, has seen people for decades, even the last century or so, warning humanity, warning our fellow brothers and sisters about, you know, what could possibly come to fruition or come to pass if we weren't careful about the way that our society developed. And if we weren't careful about, you know, how we held our standards when it comes to morality and our values, and who we elected into office, and who we gave power over us, and what we kind of, you know, released as far as freedoms, you know, in the name of safety and security. And we've been warned about this, you know, conspiracy to bring in this surveillance state and this police state. And whether there was or wasn't a conspiracy for that, I think is neither here nor there. When you look at the state that we're in now, where there is no more such thing as privacy, I think you can say that we're walking in to a new chapter, right? Where surveillance is the name of the game, where there is no privacy. In essence, the dissipation of freedom, where everything has to be politically correct. So we don't even have the freedom of speech, which kind of takes us back to, you know, books like George Orwell's 1983, where they have the actual thought police. You know, if you can control the way that someone behaves, control the way that someone speaks, in essence, you're controlling the way a person thinks. Eventually, you condition them, right, to accept what the status quo deems as right or wrong. Taking away that freedom of opinion, right? We're kind of falling into this place where the individual is disappearing, and it's all about the collective or the hive. Right? And within the hive, everyone has to think the same. Everyone has to, you know, look the same, be the same. It's called inclusivity now, is what they're doing, is to make everyone feel included as one. We no longer celebrate differences, right? If you think that we do, these are just the cookie cutter molds that are made to look different, of different collectives, but all falling under the same umbrella, right? With no true individuality, creativity, or expression of a unique person. Technology now is being used to socially engineer us online, manipulate us through the mainstream media. It's into the state of mass psychosis or mass hysteria, depending on, you know, who you talk to on any given day. Religion has reached extremes because all of those prophecies and all of the things that the books foretold would come to pass and bring about the end of the age or the end of the world for some. It's here now. And is the world ending? I don't know. I don't think so. But I think an age or an epoch, an era in humanity is ending, in an era in consciousness. We can say that it's taking place because of astrological alignments in the stars, and that may be so. A lot of people, myself included, believe that we go on cycles, right, in time. That it's cycles that propels humanity into these different eras. And that if you look back throughout time, historically on the earth, there's been catastrophic destruction, brought about more than once. And we have amnesia as a species, meaning we have forgotten big chunks of our history in the past, and we've probably been around a hell of a lot longer than we've ever been told, than any, book could be dated back to, or any pyramid or building could be dated back to. And they're probably a lot older than what we're told also. Matter of fact, that comes out more and more each and every day, that those buildings, those relics are far older than what we've been told. But yet there's this underlying nature that kind of stays the same, this theme that stays the same in our story. This battle that humanity is constantly wrestling with itself on its way, through evolution into this higher species, reaching for the stars, if you will, reaching for immortality, one way, shape, form, or facet, whether it's spiritual immortality, and people believe that they're going to have a spiritual world. People believe they'll be resurrected from the dead, when Christ returns. There's a lot of these beliefs. Or transhumanism, where people believe they can merge with machines and use technology to further our physical, natural lives. Or you look at alchemy and things of that nature, and it's a spiritual transmutation, where we convert our lower carnal persona, our ego, our self, into spiritual gold, right? Ascending into a higher vibration or dimensional existence. It's all on you on how you want to perceive it. But at the same time, it can be very scary for people to go through this. It's a confusing time. We have these very sharp and drastic spikes and drops in consciousness as we kind of try to catch our bearings on our way to something different. Now see, the end of the Piscean age has come about, right? And now we enter into the Aquarian age, and this has been talked about by New Age cats, by people within the occult and the mystery schools. Hell, even religions talk about this too, just most people don't want to admit that they do because they're incredibly dogmatic. And we have even seen things prophesied like an apocalypse, which is a revealing of information. The Bible even talks about, knowledge increasing in the last days. And I mean the last days of these cycles. And I think it's scary for people because we see things shift in a drastic way. And I've talked about this before, that sometimes we have to be given what we don't want in order for us to kind of push back against it and go towards something we do. And I believe that plays out not just on personal levels that we learn throughout our life. And, you can watch my astrology videos and my tarot readings. I talk about this all the time. Pushing away from things you don't want. That way it'll push you towards something you do. Right? It's crisis, right, that stimulates this growth and makes us evolve a lot of times. And you can look through history and see that every time, historically, even if a lot of it was staged, or even if a lot of it was propaganda, or a lot of it was programming, it doesn't truly matter, because in the collective psyche, that's kind of what happened now with humanity. No matter what the real truth was. That's what people believe happened, so that's what happened. It's no longer, it's only existing as a memory to us. Our history, right? And our history is what shapes us forward. And you look at world wars and the atrocities that took place during these world wars, these stories, these themes that we were fed, right, in order for these mass sacrifices to happen, you know. And what are these sacrifices? These are people who weren't able, they were being forced to change with that time, right? And they either refused to or weren't able to, and they didn't make it, right? And they were like weeded out spiritually, right? These culling down of the population, right? This thinning down of the herd, and stronger, better people emerged. And people that weren't tolerant of certain behaviors emerged because of these giant global catastrophes or conflicts that we had. And we've seen a lot of people come together too, different races, languages, nations, tongues. Each time we get a little bit closer, a little bit more mixed, and we learn from our mistakes of the past. And right now we're at this ultimate time where all of humanity is being tested in every possible way. Every possible way. Today we're going to look at a lot of those different ways. And we're going to talk about, you know, kind of what direction this could shift us into, and what it could mean for all of us as well. Here's the first story I want to show you. And this is like the dehumanizing side of things. And, you know, we see these artificial wombs that are coming out now. We got CRISPR technology and designer babies. You know, and this is kind of feeding that idea of Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, right? Where these genetically modified humans that all have a caste system, if you will. So they're, you know, broken down into classes by their genes, you know, like A class, B class, C class, so on and so forth. Blonde hair, blue eye, brown hair, you know, brown eyed. And, you know, there is this there's no morality, there's no commitment, there's no marriage, there's no monogamy. It's all poly, right? In this new brave new world. Nobody is committed. Everybody is sterile. And the only ones that can have children are made in test tubes. And then however you're made and developed, that's how you'll look. So you can tell who they are based on their look. And everybody in their group, their collective, looks the same. Has the same traits, the same genes, same characteristics, right? And that's all they'll ever be able to be in their life, right? They're genetically altered to be that. Sound familiar? How people are conditioned, right, to be something, or trained to be something, you know, in families too. Cop after cop after cop if you're cops in your family, or so on and so forth. And it's like never breaking the mold, you know? And it's a lack of love, right? Lack of morality, right? Nobody falls in love in this world either, in Brave New World, you know? It's non-committal. Let's take a look here, and this is where I think we're getting to. It says, debate sparks over safe haven boxes for surrendering babies. And this is, if you've ever looked at what's been going on with birth control and abortions and all of that right now. This is a huge, huge topic in the media. Huge topic in the media. And now we've seen like the, you know, this fight against abortion, right, which is essentially killing a fetus, no matter how you feel about it. I don't care, you know, what side of the debate you're on. I'm not here to state my opinion or whatever, right? It doesn't matter, you know, what you believe. I stay out of that. I know what I believe, and that's all that matters. And I feel like it doesn't benefit anybody by stating, you know, my opinion on it. So whether you believe it's right or wrong, it is essentially destroying a life, right? And a lot of times, you know, it's justified by the stem cell that comes out of it, which, you know, has many cures and all of that as well. But that's only for the incredibly rich a lot of times anyways. Those are the people who have vested interest in it. And Planned Parenthood has turned into like these meat factories for babies, right? And if you can kill an infant, eventually you can kill an adult, you know, just like they have the euthanizing thing for the elderly, right? That a lot of people push for, right? It's essentially dehumanizing and making it okay to put someone down and kill someone, right? And it could be you, you know, but it starts with the babies, right? And now they have these things for people to surrender their child if they don't want them, to give them up for adoption, right?
Mothers to surrender a baby without human interaction. Monica Kelsey founded the organization that makes the boxes, already found in 10 different states.
When a mother walks up to the baby box and
let me know, God, or guys,
opens
God,
the door.
let me know, guys, if you can hear this. Let me make sure. Just let me know if you can hear this. I want to make sure you guys can hear all this. Make sure the sound's up here. Do apologize. Okay. Looks like we should be good.
An immediate 911 call goes out. When she places the newborn inside, a second alarm is tripped. When she shuts the door actually locks. So the baby can only be retrieved from the inside of the firehouse.
Let me take this back to the beginning here.
So tonight's original now with in-depth reporting on a topic we've been watching. And tonight it takes us down to Florida with a new debate over a bill that would let fire stations and hospitals install safe haven boxes, like the kind you see here, for people to put unwanted babies in without interacting with anybody. Some say these boxes could save lives. Others say that human contact is important to the baby's short and long-term health. Guad Venegas has the story.
You sure you want to do this?
Yeah. Just hurry, please.
These ventilated and climate-controlled infant safety devices allow mothers to surrender a baby without human interaction. Monica Kelsey founded the organization that makes the boxes, already found in 10 different states.
When a mother walks up to the baby box and opens the door, an immediate 911 call goes out. When she places the newborn inside, a second alarm is tripped. When she shuts the door actually locks. So the baby can only be retrieved from the inside of the firehouse.
Under the current safe haven law, mothers can surrender infants at fire stations and hospitals by handing the infant to a trained professional who can provide resources.
It allows a mother to surrender her baby, 7 days old or less, to a hospital or fire station with a direct transfer without fear of prosecution and with guaranteed anonymity.
Finding a safe place for mothers who need to give up their child is growing more urgent, with North Dakota and Florida the latest states to pass restrictive abortion laws after the Supreme Court struck down Roe v. Wade. Joel Gordon from...
You know what worries me about that? And let me shout out you guys in the chat room. I will be paying attention to the chat if you guys want to drop some knowledge. I'll definitely bring it out here. James Dunn, Vern Vision Network, Amy VR, Truth Behind the Lie, Zero Infinity Live, Chris S. Thank you guys. Up Yours 73. I appreciate all of you so much. You know, this kind of concerns me because this could also be something real easy for, like, let's say there was corruption and, you know, like what we seen in the last video where police and firemen and all of them were involved in corruption and in human trafficking of some sort, right? That would be a real easy way to, like, traffic children or traffic babies. But we know that on the surface, the purpose for this is to save children, you know, when a mom wants to give it up for adoption. So instead of having the abortion, they just give it up for adoption with no consequences, right? I just think it's really dehumanizing, you know, but it is what it is. No matter what your opinion on it is, I feel like they're trying to normalize. For one, they're normalizing giving the state control of the children, right? And we've seen this happen so much from the time your child goes into school now. And they don't just go to kindergarten, they go to Head Start and all of that. They're being conditioned by the state, right? And if you have assistance, right, like welfare or Section 8 or anything like that, the state is heavily involved in the parenting of your children. You can get in trouble with the state if you don't meet requirements, and they can make you take classes. They can even take your children, right? If you're in violation of the law, you get in trouble criminally, you can lose your children. Okay, I mean, people can call child protective services on you, and you can lose your children. They can come and inspect your home, and find anything wrong they want. The state is now parenting the children. This is part of the 10-point plan of the New World Order, as written by Alice Bailey. Right, was make the state become the parents, and like from here now, they're like saying, okay, we'll block you from getting abortions, but now we'll open up, for you to give away the baby and put him in this baby box, right? And you can do it anonymously, and anybody can come up and do it, right? And drop them off at this place, Pretty wild shit when you think about it, honestly. When the one world currency arrives, people will change their tune about the words of Christ. That's where the true followers will be labeled zealots or terrorists for not wanting peace, says James Dunn. I feel like they're already labeling people terrorists, James, and that's just my opinion. Right now, they're called domestic terrorists. Anybody, and it's not just Christians and people that follow Christ. It's, conservatives, libertarians, anybody that's on, people in the Patriot movement, the Tea Party, pro-gun, pro-free speech, pro-life, right? Anybody like that, they have been labeled domestic terrorists now. And then a lot on the left as well. I hate to say it, but the left thinks that they're immune to this. They're not. They label a lot of you guys terrorists too. So liberals, it is what it is. We've all been set up, right? We've all been set up, guys. And this is wild. When Reverend Daniel Rehill performs exorcisms on people who says they've been possessed by the devil, and in a chilling interview revealed some of the scariest things he's seen. And let me see if I have this one. I have it somewhere. Which we're going to get into some. I got some crazy, crazy stories today for you guys. I mean, I'm not even playing. This is one of the weirder ones. But I've got some wild shit today. Exorcist saw possessed 5-foot nun crawl up wall like a squirrel and overpower 6 men. Reverend Daniel Rehill performs exorcisms on people who he says have been possessed by the devil. In a chilling interview, revealed some of the scariest things he's seen. Let me see. We're going to have to wait a second, I think, on this one so the ad can play. But the exorcist says a nun ran up a wall like a squirrel after demons took over her body. Reverend Daniel Rehill performs exorcisms on people who says have been possessed by the devil and recently revealed some of the scariest things he's seen. Now, I would love to know what you guys, believe happened from possession. Do you believe that possession is possible? Demonic possession? Do you think it's the devil or Satan? Who do you think is responsible? Is it aliens? Are these people, tapping into something else? Are they just on drugs? I would love to know your opinion when it comes to this. Let's take a look, though, right here.
Situation I've been in personally. There's one of the podcasts called Keyholder to the Church, and he knew he was possessed, and he was in early possession, so he knew he had a problem. And when I went into his house, the first thing he did was lock the front door. And he was a big guy. He wasn't a small guy. He was like 6'5" and well built. And I knew if he wanted to, he could have tore me apart any time. And my only concern was I just wanted to calmly get saved, because normally you go in these situations. Gosh. Yes, you have to go in these situations on your own. And what will happen is that they give away like little telltale signs of possession, like they'll sweat a lot, or they'll have bright blue eyes or jet black eyes. But when that guy locked the door,
telltale signs of possession, they sweat a lot, they have bright blue eyes or jet black eyes. You know what? I will say this: I have experienced the paranormal in the past. I went ghost hunting years ago. I got a demonic attachment. I do believe this stuff is real, and I have seen people that I don't know for a fact, obviously, but I believe I've had people in my life, and I've been around people that have had spiritual oppression going on, for sure, and influenced by certain spirits or entities. if you've ever dealt with people that practice witchcraft, a lot of times you'll see that there may be like certain type of spirits or archetypes. Some of them are like, depending on what type of, demon or entity they're involved heavily with. Everybody has different things that they worship, right? And they all have different vibes to them. Some people have really sexual vibes, right, to the type of demonic power or influence that they're involved with, right? So there's a heavy sexual presence or sexual tension with the people, and everything with them has a sexual connotation. There are others that it's more violent oriented, right? It's based in violence and in blood, and so it all depends on the person you're engaged with. But I will say this, that I've seen some really dark things, and a lot of people that have demonic oppression, they're incredibly angry or can get angry on the drop of a hat. They not very rational whatsoever, and it can almost seem like they're charged up or feeding off of that tension, that stress, that anger, because they have something that's feeding off of it within themselves, right? It's demonic attachment, meaning some type of poltergeist energy, if you will, some type of, and we create these ourselves, right? There's psychonauts. We through psychosis we externalize energy, right, within our minds, and that becomes an external entity that's attached to our energy because it's us, and it can be a demon. It can take on a persona, depending on how we see it, based on what our fears are, right? We can make this thing alive, and it can really fuck our lives up and do a lot of damage to anybody we touch. And that's my opinion. And I'm not saying there aren't ancient demons and entities and things like that, but surely there are. People have been around since ancient times, and there's no telling, these disembodied spirits, what they truly, truly are, what they're truly made up of. Are they dead humans? Or are they something else? Are they consciousness that's disembodied and has formed a new consciousness? I don't know. It says certain substances will also make negative energy more prevalent and have easier access to someone's soul. Absolutely. That's why you hear like the spirit of pharmakia and things like that, right? So drugs, alcohol, that's why they call it alcohol spirits, right? But also solar activity affects spiritual essence, believe it or not, right? You think about protons and neutrons and things like that. That's positively and negatively charged energy. Photons, positively charged energy. And when we have these solar storms and CMEs, these coronal mass ejections, what they're doing is blowing out radiation. They're blowing out positively and negatively charged energy, and it affects our auras, guys. It literally does. So the KP index and all that, you can see different times of the year from X-class flares, M-class flares, depending on how they're charged and what direction they're facing. It will affect directly affect our aura and make us more susceptible to negatively charged energy or positively charged energy. And a lot of people that practice witchcraft and spells wait for certain, things to take place with the sun because that will make it easier for them to invoke more parasitic type of energy into the realm or onto someone else. So yeah, and I study the fuck out of this stuff. You can take it or leave it when it comes to all this. I don't expect you to believe anything I say. I take it all with a grain of salt. And do your own research and make sure, that, you're using your own spiritual discernment, your own mental discernment and all of that. Anytime dealing with any of this, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a lawyer, I have not financial advice, I am not the news, I am not a professional at all. I'm just a guy with a YouTube channel, and this is my opinion. So, yeah, entertainment only, just so everybody knows that. Now, here we go. Europe reveals a map breaking up Russia into 41 new countries. Tell me they're not preparing for, you know, the final phase of all of this. And that's what's so funny about it. Albert Pike's letter to Mazzini, 1871, the 3 World Wars, talking about the social cataclysm of the Third World War. And you look around what's going on now, right? Chat GPT and AI and the way how powerful it is, and, you know, all that it can do, and the bots and shit that have already, they said, altered elections, you know, and all of the propaganda and shit that mind control are being fed through the internet and through the televisions and the radio waves, and, you know, and now here we are, you know, we bring Ukraine into the fold, and we're trying to put all these countries that are enemies of Russia into NATO, and we're putting out maps of Northern Eurasia after the final dismantling of the Moscow Empire through the complete decolonization of the so-called Russian Federation and the reconstruction of independent and free states of the post-Russian space. Say what? Say what? And remember the Second World War in Albert Pike's 3 World Wars was about taking Russia down. This would be like the... I should pull up the letter. Let's see if I got the letter here. Some of you guys have seen this. A lot of you guys have probably seen this if you watch this channel, so bear with me. I won't read the whole thing. The 3 World Wars. Here we go. Ah, shit. And there you have Illuminati right there, right? When it comes to the 3 World Wars and shit. That's funny. He was the father of Freemasonry, Albert Pike was. So if you don't think that he knew what was going on, you're tripping, man. Here we go. Let's see if I got this right here. I think it's right here. This is the Internet Archive. And I've got such a good show for you guys, so stick with me. All right. The First World War. And this is the following letter, speculation claim that Albert Pike wrote to Giuseppe Mazzini in 1871 regarding a conspiracy involving 3 world wars that were planned in an attempt to take over the world. The Pike letter to Giuseppe Mazzini was on display in the British Museum Library in London until 1977. So that shows you how fucking legitimate it was. Okay, the letter has been claimed by many internet sites to reside in the British Library in London, which denies the letter exists. Giuseppe Mazzini was an Italian revolutionary leader in the mid-1800s, as well as a director of the Illuminati. Albert Pike, who was a historical Masonic figure, the father of modern-day Freemasonry, was a 33rd degree Freemason, an occultist, a Grand Master, and creator of the southern jurisdiction of the Masonic Scottish Rite Order. Following are apparently extracts from the letter showing how the 3 world wars have been planned for many generations. The First World War. The First World War must be fought or brought in order to permit the Illuminati to overthrow the power of the czars in Russia and making that country a fortress of atheistic communism. The divergences caused by the agentur, or agents of the Illuminati, between the British and Germanic empires will be used to foment this war. At the end of the war, communism will be built and used in order to destroy the other governments and in order to weaken the religions. And remember, right, the Bolshevik Revolution, Operation Trust, which was the anti-Bolshevik operation to kill all the dissidents and label them domestic terrorists, right? All the patriots within Russia, all the ones who still wanted the czars to reign, okay? Sound familiar? Trump and Trust the Plan? QAnon? Yeah, just saying. Second World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences between the fascist and the political Zionist. This war must be brought about so that Nazism is destroyed and that the political Zionism be strong enough to institute a sovereign state in Israel and in Palestine. During the Second World War, international communism must be built strong enough in order to balance Christendom, which would be then restrained and held in check until the time when we would need it for the final social cataclysm. And think about Hitler and the fascists and, all of this that took place and the rise of the state of Israel. This is already happening. Notice how there's a mix of all of this in our world today, right? With Antifa and all of that, right? It's wild, right? And then, the shit with Trump and trust the plan. It's like the final one, the Third World War, must be prevented by taking advantage of the differences caused by the agentur of the Illuminati between the political Zionist and the leaders of the Islamic world. The war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, the Muslim Arabic world, and political Zionism, the state of Israel, mutually destroy each other. Meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on this issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economical exhaustion. We shall unleash the nihilist and the atheist, and we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm which in all its horror will show clearly to the nations the effect of absolute atheism, origin of savagery, and of the most bloody turmoil. Then everywhere, the citizens obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries will exterminate those destroyers of civilization, and the multitude, disillusioned with Christianity, whose deistic spirits will from that moment be without compass or direction, anxious for an ideal, but without knowing where to render its adoration, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, brought finally out into the public view. This manifestation will result from the general reactionary movement which will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated at the same time. Now, isn't that some heavy ass shit right there? Guys, notice they're saying that they would be divided, and this is the final showdown, right? This has been the Arab Spring, the war on terror. You tell me they ain't brought in the Islamic world? They have Iraq in the mix right now, Syria in the mix right now, Saudi Arabia, right? We done Iran. Tell me, it's not Afghanistan, Israel. And then you have political Zionism, right? Israel versus all these countries. The United States in bed with Israel. Meanwhile, other nations divided on the issue will fight to physical, moral, spiritual, and economical exhaustion. You see it, man, right now. Right? Depleting the resources, breaking the spirits and the morals of all the nations, and beating everybody down to exhaustion to where they just give in, right? They're unleashing the nihilist and the atheist, and that's what you see now, the degenerate fucks of society, right? And those who have no belief in nothing. And this social cataclysm where the left and the right, they come together and they smash and crash and bang, right? And it's been savage as fuck. Bringing in this police state, surveillance state, right? And the world's being forced to revolt against this. Big brother putting his boot down. These brown shirt fucking weirdos in Antifa telling you can't worship God or whatever. Right? Telling you should cut your dick off when you're 12. Come on, man. What do you think is going to happen? Like I said, when they bring in the things that we don't want, we will rebel against it. And that's what Aquarius is about too, I hate to tell you, is it's rebellion. It's a rebellious spirit. Right? It's fighting against what you don't want. It's technology. It's social structure. This is us being socially engineered, and you were told before it would ever happen. And what's happening with that? Christianity, when they find out that they're worshiping a false idol by worshiping a deity and that it's about Christ within, right? The spirit inside of us, they'll have no way to go. They'll feel like they've been lied to. when all the prophecies that are coming true of all the religions, and their God isn't down here on a cloud rescuing them, they'll have nowhere else to go to. Where will they go? The pure doctrine of Lucifer. Right? The universal manifestation of Lucifer. Why? Because all the one world religions, all of the religions, ultimately at the end of the day are worshiping the same thing. All of the mystery schools, all of it comes to that same principle. It's that all-seeing eye, bud. Whether you believe that or not. That's what runs this world. That is the hidden hand. That's the God of this world. You know, when it's money, it's gold, it's oil, it's drugs, it's sex. It's run this world for a long time, and it'll continue to run this world. And people will become slave to it. They already are, but they have no idea how high of a level the enslavement can come to. That's why you see all the religions coming together now, creating a one world religion through the Vatican and the Pope. And people aren't nowhere ready for this, you know, but it's coming either way. Oh, wait till we get into this, guys. This is fucking crazy. Sparse Pandemic 2025 to 2028. The futuristic scenario to facilitate medical countermeasure communication. Yeah, that's right. They're already working on, where's it at here? The next pandemic. Right? And you guys remember last time with the SPARS and all that shit for COVID, right? Remember it last time? See, we already covered this fucking months ago. Catastrophic contagion. Gates, Johns Hopkins, and WHO simulated another deadly pandemic, right? It was already working on this, called Catastrophic Contagion. They've taken down the video. Remember, there used to be a trailer for this Catastrophic Contagion put up by them, right? Now they've taken that down. How about that? Now we have this, the Sparse Pandemic, the futuristic scenario for public health risk communications, Johns Hopkins Center for Health and Security. And I couldn't find the document at this link, so I had to go and look it up myself through the universities, and this is real. Sparse Pandemic 2025-2028, a hypothetical scenario designed to illustrate the public health risk communication challenges that could potentially emerge during a naturally occurring infectious disease outbreak, requiring development and distribution of novel and or investigational drugs, vaccines, therapeutics, and or other medical countermeasures. They did prepare before and during COVID. They will also be ready for SPARS. Fucking crazy, man. It's crazy. And what's wild is they do this for all of it. I mean, there's exercises for fucking tsunamis. There's exercises for the Cascadia subduction zone. Every crisis and scenario that you can think of. Asteroids, comets. There is exercises for this. You know? Nuclear bombs. Zombie apocalypse. School shootings. Terror attacks. Nine times out of 10, I don't think people even fucking realize that what's being pushed as the real thing a lot of times is an exercise. You know? But I digress. Right, that's neither here nor there. You guys want to take a look here? I'll go ahead and drop this in the chat because I do want people to be able to check this out. We'll read over a little bit of it. Hello from Panama City Beach, Florida, says James Newkirk. Oh, what's up? Hello from Cincinnati, Ohio. Donna Marie Farrell in the house. Carol Dryling in the house. Thank you guys. I appreciate all of you. Make sure you're hitting that like, that thumbs up if you're in the chat. That helps me so much. Okay, now let's take a look at the abstract here for the Sparse Pandemic scenario. It says effective communication about medical countermeasures, including drugs, devices, and biologics, is often critical in emergency situations. Such communication, however, does not just happen and must be planned and prepared for. Our mechanism to develop communication strategies is through the use of prospective scenarios, which allow readers the opportunity to rehearse responses while also weighing the implications of their actions. This article describes the development of such a scenario. The Sparse Pandemic 2025 to 2028. Steps in this process included deciding on a time frame, identifying likely critical uncertainties, and then using this framework to construct and to construct a storyline covering both the response and recovery phases of a fictional emergency event. Lessons learned from the scenario development and how the scenario can be used to improve communications are also discussed. And this could include medical countermeasures, including drugs, devices, biologics, example given, vaccines, often play critical roles in curtailing the impacts of natural disease outbreaks as well as chemical, biological, radiological, or nuclear incidents. It is not uncommon for members of the public, however, to misuse or hesitate to take recommended MCM, new and unfamiliar technology, an accelerated regulatory approval process, or discordant expert views may heighten perceived risks, leading to public aversion to the countermeasure and/or diminished public trust in regulators or recommenders. In other cases, strong feelings of vulnerability in an emergency situation may prompt persons to demand unnecessary MCM, protest their lack of access with limited availability or use or excessive amount of prescribed MCMs. In still other situations, certain social groups may have limited access because some institutions are still in the process of learning how culture, race, language, and citizenship status produce barriers to health information sharing. To mitigate all of these issues and ensure proper and timely use of MCM, good communication is key. Damn, dude, this is crazy. So they're basically going through every goddamn benefits of scenarios and simulations and preparing for disasters and epidemics. It's a tool meant to prompt readers to imagine the dynamic and oftentimes conflicted circumstances emergency communication takes place by engaging readers with a rigorous, simulated health emergency scenario, providing opportunities for readers to mentally rehearse responses. Yeah, I wonder why they keep using that. To allow people to mentally rehearse. They go through the social media challenges and opportunities. Wow. The methods, and to develop a sparse scenario project team with expertise in a variety of areas, including epidemiology, public health preparedness, risk communication, and the biological and social sciences was assembled. Utilizing these diverse perspectives, the team used a combination of the inductive and deductive heuristics delineated by Ogilvy and Schwartz to develop the scenario premise, Figure 1. The process began with selecting a time frame for the scenario, the years 2025 to 2028. These dates were years in the future at the time chosen to provide a timeline that allowed for the development of future possibilities, but was not so far in the future to make the scenario become a work of science fiction. After the time frame was established, the project team turned to the focal question. What emergency issues? And then here you go. You can see the issues, identifying focal issue, time frame, brainstorm, da-da-da-da. Yeah, I'll let you guys go through the rest of this yourself, but I just want to show you they're already working on this shit. Right? In a neighborhood near you, coming to a grocery store near you, right? You're going to be able to check this out yourself. And this is fucked up right here. The Earn It bill is back, seeking to scan our messages and photos. It's just, and look, what was the Sparse Pandemic exercise about? Communication during the next thing. And what are they trying to hit you with? All this TikTok bills and all this shit. The Earn It bill is back, seeking to scan our messages and photos. And I think they're trying to put this like in the guise of protecting children online. I think that's what they're trying to do with this one. Don't quote me on that in case I'm fucking wrong. But here we go. A bill to establish a national commission on online child sexual exploitation prevention and for other purposes. Bam, right? A bill to establish a national commission on online child sexual exploitation prevention and for other purposes. The key word being and for other purposes, right? Nobody's gonna fucking say no to a commission on online child sexual exploitation, right? We all want to protect children. And that right there, my friends, is how they hook you every fucking time, right? How they hook you every fucking time, whether it's in the name of safety and security, okay? We've heard that many times, right? The war on terror, the war on domestic terror, right? Like, shit. And then they come right after our ass. You know what I mean? They don't come after no bad guys at all. You know, the war on drugs, and they come after everyday fucking people, you know? War against COVID, then they fucking lock everyday people down and take their fucking jobs, right? Like, come on now. And now it's against online child sexual exploitation and prevention. Guess who they'll be coming for once again, right? And now here it is. Number one, being enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America, Congress assembled. This act may be cited as Eliminating Abuse and Rampant Neglect of Interactive Technologies Act of 2023, or the Earn It Act of 2023. In this act, the commission, this term commission means a National Commission on Online Child Sexual Exploitation Prevention, Interactive Computer Service. The term interactive computer service has the meaning given the term in Section 230F2 of the Communications Act of 1934, 47 U.S. Code 230F2. There is an established National Commission on Online Child Sexual Exploitation, and the purpose of the commission is to develop recommended best practices that providers of interactive computer services may choose to implement to prevent, reduce, and respond to online sexual exploitation of children, including the enticement, sex trafficking, and sexual abuse of children, and the proliferation of online child sexual abuse material. Membership composition in general. The commission shall be composed of 19 members. 19, COVID-19, 9/11, 19 members. I'm sure there's no ritual fucking meaning in that. The following federal officials shall serve as the members, and here it is. Seeking to scan our messages and photos. In free society, people should not have their private correspondences constantly examined. U.S. lawmakers, we would hope, understand that individuals have the right to private conversation without the government looking over their shoulder. So it's dismaying to see a group of U.S. senators attempting for a third time to pass the Earn It Act, a law that could lead to suspicionless scans of every online message, photo, and hosted file in the name of fighting crime. The Earn It Act treats all internet users like we should be in a permanent criminal lineup under suspicion for child abuse. What the Earn It Act does, it creates an unelected government commission, stacks it with law enforcement personnel, and then tasks it with creating best practices for running an internet website or app. The act then removes nearly 30-year-old legal protections for users and website owners, allowing state legislature to encourage civil lawsuits and prosecution against those who don't follow the government's best practices. As long as they somehow tie changes into law to child sexual abuse, the lawmakers will be able to avoid long-standing legal protections, pass new rules that allow for criminal prosecutions and civil lawsuits against websites that don't give police special access to user messages and photos. Websites and apps that use end-to-end encryption to protect user privacy will be pressured to remove or compromise the security of their services, or they'll face prosecution and lawsuit. If ENLIGHTENMENT passes, we're likely to see lawmakers step in and mandate the scanning of messages and other files similar to the plan that Apple wisely walked away from last year. Wow. And this is fucked up, dude. Oh my gosh. And, you know, and I can't believe this too. Like, you know, all this shit that we're doing now when it comes to these laws, you know, and here I will drop this off too if you guys want to check out this as well. This is for you in the chat. I don't know how at this point people continue to even fucking believe any of this. See, sometimes the scandal is not what law was broken, but what the law allows. The ENLIGHTENMENT Act that's back and is bad. I'll check this out. This is Joe Rogan. Hopefully you can play this and not get in trouble.
Yeah. Dan Crenshaw posted about it. He thinks it's not that big a deal because he thinks that, you know, there's a lot of acts that get pushed and then they never get passed through. But what's disturbing is just the idea, the desire to do this, and the fact that imagine if it did get passed. I mean, it's just a fucking full-on assault on free speech.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be getting a toxic stigma connected to it. Did you see Jesse Waters grill Lindsey Graham about it?
No, I didn't.
Oh, he didn't read it, but he endorsed it.
Oh, Jesus.
And he just got completely called out. It was really funny. Like, that should be illegal. You should not even be able.
He didn't read it, but he endorsed it, and you heard what he said. Now, how about this? Freedom of speech? Of course no. YouTube moves to further squelch criticism of transgender agenda and demonetizes Sarah Gonzalez, Matt Walsh, and Tim Pool. And you see here, Blaze Media. YouTube demonetizing people in the criticism of the transgender agenda. I have told you guys, and I don't know how many of you guys actually, I don't know what it is about YouTube anymore. I can't get people in my chat rooms. I used to never have a show with under 100 people in my chat on my main channel, and at least, you know, fucking 50 to, you know, 60, 80 people in my backup. And now I can't get fucking 30 people in my main chat, you know? It's crazy. And I'll tell you what, I started making videos again about a month or so ago, and I've already had quite a few strikes. I had my backup channel taken down all the way. I had to get it reinstated because they messed up and just gave me a strike for something that wasn't even anything, you know, and it's like I get demonetized. I used to make my living online on YouTube and YouTube alone. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, DLive, all these platforms. And I did it through, you know, donations. And I didn't depend on advertising or subscriptions or any of that at all, right? That was just extra if I got that. And I don't even receive donations at all anymore. Like, it's crazy. And the advertising and subscriptions is, you know, I don't have subscriptions or patrons anymore. I don't get advertising anymore. None of that, man. I had to get a real ass job, and I was working 2 jobs at one time. You know, now I work at least 40 hours every week. Plus, I do this, and I only do it because I love, you know, I love it. I love speaking about this stuff. I love talking about it. I love staying up on what's going on and, you know, pursuing truth and having an understanding of our world. And I love spirituality, and I love, you know, being able to have community with people that are on the same wavelength as I am. You know, and I feel like if we don't do something, we don't step up and at least say something, then it's our fault if the world goes to shit. You know, if we knew what was going on. Yeah, Donna Marie, you're not just a subscriber, you're a member. Your name's lit up in green, so thank you for that. Yeah, let's boycott YouTube. And I mean, hey, if you watch TikTok, I'm on there. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Rumble, BitChute, I'm on all of them. We have a backup channel here, and I still upload, even though I don't go live on all of them anymore, because I don't have enough people watching. If I could get my lives up, I would, start doing the multi-stream again and getting all the platforms together at once. If you guys want to see that again, let me know. If you want me to go back to multi-streaming, where I do like 10 different places live all at the same time, so you can cross-chat, let me know. I'll do that again. Maybe we'll do a live Q&A or ask me anything or whatever. And I'll even do like live readings where you can, super chat and I'll answer questions for you guys. But, it's crazy. The censorship is fucking insane. the censorship is fucking insane. Someone say commercial interrupt. So as I'm saying, they're demonetizing everybody. A commercial plays on my video. How about that? Well, hey, got to make money somewhere. Managing every aspect of people's lives. Xi Jinping is hiring 87,000 agriculture police officers. And they're coming for Chinese farmers. Farmers can only plant crops the government approves. And the planting of climbing vegetables like beans or melons and squashes in front and backyards is strictly forbidden. Getting your ass kicked by the military because you grew some beans. You know what I mean? You know how fucked up that would be? Imagine getting that ass whooped because you grew some beans. Future doom. More than 19,000 previously unknown undersea volcanoes revealed by satellite data. Yeah. And you see right here, where they put, and the fourth angel sounded, and a third part of the sun was smitten, and a third part of the moon, and a third part of the stars. So the third part of them was darkened, and the day shone not for a third part of it, and night likewise. Decapitated and dismembered bodies found at the Maya Pyramid. I mean, yeah, dude, this is just a weird fucking time we're in. We're going to start, is anybody surprised at any of this? They're still doing this shit. Look at all the people that fucked with Hillary Clinton that don't even have their teeth. You know what I mean? They pulled the fucking teeth out of their skull. Okay? Moving forward. Here we go. Sorry, guys. We got, hopefully, Nashville Shooter Manifesto. 1 month later, they have rewritten it all again and are about to release it. That's so fucking funny. Breaking. The FBI to release a Nashville Christian School Shooters Manifesto as soon as they are done writing it. Oh, that's hilarious, dude. That's hilarious. I hope, hey, and everybody let me know if you can see me and hear me. I don't know. Let me know if you can see me and hear me on here. I'm not sure if they kicked me off yet for saying some of this stuff, so let me know. You guys can see me and you can hear me. Make sure you hit the like, too, while you're in here. Breaking. The FBI to release Nashville Christian School Shooters Manifesto as soon as they are done writing it. Authorities about to release the Nashville School Shooter Manifesto 1 month later. Let me guess. A second. Oh, they edited out all the narratives that was unfriendly to the Biden regime or just rewrote it entirely. What? See if we can get this to play here. Covenant School Shooters Manifesto released. Yeah, this is...
Nashville Metro Police are revealing new details about the contents of the so-called manifesto written by the Covenant school shooter, describing the materials left as writings and journals.
28-year-old Audrey Hale, as you know, killed 6 people, including 3 9-year-olds at the private Christian school in Green Hills last month. Police are in the early stages of preparing now to release a redacted version of the writings to the public. Stephanie Langston with our Nashville sister station has more on what she's learned now from investigators about that process.
We all want a sentence that says, I did this because of this. But very rarely do you get somebody who writes that.
It's a topic author Catherine Schweit knows all too well. The former FBI special agent created the agency's active shooter program following the tragedy at Sandy Hook Elementary School.
I've worked in this space a long time, and we want the lessons learned out of this.
Over the last month, FBI and Metro Police investigators have been analyzing what the Covenant school shooter Audrey Hale left behind.
It's my understanding that there's a large volume of material that needs to be gone through.
Today, the front door is still boarded up at the home where the shooter lived with their parents on Brightwood Avenue. Search warrants detailing what investigators seized inside, including 30 journals, some with references to school shootings and firearms courses, a suicide note, and 5 Covenant school yearbooks. Investigators also seized what they described as a psych medical folder. While Schweitz says it's a large volume of content, it may provide limited value as investigators consider relevance and potential privacy issues of others.
That shooter is gone, but the family is not. So I think...
Yeah. I don't know how much we're allowed to say on this shit anymore, you know, on the public platforms. I just want you to look at the image and the narrative and all that's taking place and really detach from your political views emotionally, right? Really detach from anything that can kind of connect you emotionally to the story and just look at it be very, you know, clear and speculative when you look at it. Like, look at it. Does this even look right to you? You know? Where'd this kid get this, you know, machine gun and all vested up, and, you know, why did it just so happen to be a transgender kid, and, you know, in just every one of these school events, how many exercises were taking place or going on at the same time, you know? And you see the involvement of the lady from Sandy Hook, of all places, which was connected to Alex Jones and all of that, right? And her connection to this too. It's like, wow, a little weird, man. A little weird. And she was part of like this whole active shooter thing through the FBI. And we know that there is agendas out there right now through our federal government, you know, to undermine the Second Amendment. And they can say that, you know, Biden isn't one of those, you know, people, but he is not pro-gun at all. And there's been more gun bans and laws under his administration than any I can think of for a long time. You know, not just the raising of the interest rates, you know. So, this is heavily politicized. You know, now the manifesto being written, and it was, you know, redacted and changed and added and letters and all this, and you can guarantee it's going to be pure fucking propaganda that's, you know, brought out. So, 10 UFO investigators who died mysteriously under suspicious circumstances. Weird. And this is a little known fact, but I wanted to hit you guys with it. JFK, and this is weird. He actually requested for the release of the UFO files 2 weeks before his assassination. Isn't that strange? He was denied by the then CIA director, right? And there was even a letter that was brought out after the fact talking about, you know, him being denied and basically saying, you know, it's along the lines of he needed to be taken care of, right? It was so weird. I did a video on it years ago. I wish I had this stuff right now. I'd flash back to it. You know, that's why I need somebody. I would love a co-host or somebody to assist me with the show, right? To help me with the editing, help me, you know, do the show. You know, I'm really trying to rebrand and start over and do new stuff. So I would love a co-host if somebody would like to get involved, or, you know, more than one person, you know, or just do like a separate podcast from this, you know. So hit me up if you're interested in that, or, you know, text me or email me. The information's in the description box. And then here's the people. Ron Rummel worked Air Force intelligence agent. Years leading up to his death, the publisher of UFO journal Alien Digest. Ron Johnson, ufologist, worked for MUFON. John Murphy, direct UFO researcher, radio journalist, who just happened to be in Kecksburg when the famous incident, a UFO crash. Tony Dodd, John Mack, Amy Livingston, Jim And Dr. Carla Turner focused on the psychology and ethics of those alleging that they had been abducted, visited, probed, and tormented by extraterrestrial beings. Ted Rice on Spotify goes into this depth. Ted was threatened himself and hid for the last 20 years, but now he's talking. Now he's talking. So Ted's talking now, y'all. Let's see if we can get a piece of what old Ted's saying here. Hold on. Maybe this is the right one. It's not available. How about that? So, yeah. Well, we won't be listening to what Ted's got to say on the show, but you see it. So, wait till I show you some of this other shit. This is wild, man. Here, I'm gonna drop this in the chat for you guys. If you want to check out this list of people, it's on you. There you go. Clouds carry drug-resistant bacteria across distances. Study says this is the future, man. Right? Geoengineering, cloud seeding. Right? And clouds are now carrying drug-resistant bacteria. Study, team of Canadian French researchers, dark clouds on the horizon, potentially ominous, not because they signal an approaching storm, but because they were found in a recent study to carry drug-resistant bacteria over long distances. These bacteria usually live on the surface of vegetation like leaves or in soil. We found that they are carried by the wind into the atmosphere and can travel long distances around the world at high altitudes in the clouds. I'm sure nobody is going to capitalize on that one, right? I'm sure we have nothing to worry about right there. How about this? It gets better. It's so much better. Firm releases almost 800 kilograms of forever chemical a year into Lancashire River. Environmental agency finds very persistent, mobile, and toxic PFAs in effluent legally discharged near Wyre Estuary. A chemical company releasing large quantities of a forever chemical described as being very persistent, mobile, and toxic into the River Wyre in Lancashire each year and is not breaking any rules. Earlier this year, the Guardian Watershed Investigations revealed that effluent coming from the site of AGC Chemicals in Europe and Thornton Cleveland could drain about 700 types of perfluorinated and polyfluorinated alkyl substances, or PFAs, in an umbrella term for thousands of human-made substances known as forever chemicals, because they will not break down in the environment for thousands of years, and some are also known to be toxic and can accumulate in the human body. They've now released its evaluation of PFAs known as EEA and NEH4 and said it was very persistent, mobile in the environment, as well as toxic. How about that? So, it just gets better and better. Executive order on authority to order the ready reserve of the armed forces to active duty to address international drug trafficking. And I'm not making this fucking shit up, dude. This is crazy, man. Authority vested in me, the president, The emergency authority to provide additional authority to the Secretary of Defense, Secretary of Homeland Security to respond to national emergency declared in Executive Order 14059. Authority under Section Title 10, U.S. Code, invoked and made available according to its terms. And it says that the National Emergencies Act, and in further executive order of 14059 on December 15, 2021, imposing sanctions on foreign persons involved in the global illicit drug trade, which declared national emergency to address the unusual and extraordinary threat to national security, foreign policy, and the economy of the U.S. posed by international drug trafficking, is hereby ordered as follows. And it goes on. And now they can ready the reserve and armed forces to active duty for international drug trafficking. They've been setting this up, man, so they can connect any goddamn leader, any fucking country, and any person to this through the war on drugs. They're ramping this all back up, and they can bring in the military and use it as an asset in this as well. Okay? An ominous heating event is unfolding in the oceans. Average sea surface temperatures have soared to record heights and stayed there. To call what's happening in the oceans right now an anomaly is a bit of an understatement. Since March, average sea temperatures have been climbing to record highs. How about that? And this is like, all across the globe right now, Denver residents could earn $1,000 masturbating as part of orgasm advisory job. Hey, I can't get a donation on YouTube, and I can't book a tarot reading, right? And I can't get a raise at my job, but I can definitely do this. I could do this. A new job being pitched in Denver has completely changed the meaning of self-employed. $1,000 a year position masturbating with free sex toys as a member of Love Honey's new Orgasm Advisory Board. The UK-based sexual wellness brand and global sex toy manufacturer will be coming to the Mile High City in May to spend 2 days recruiting members and educating the masses about masturbation, says its resident sexual wellness advisor, Sarah Tomchison. Events will be held on the 16th Street Mall and outside of Coors Field, with people of all experience levels encouraged to apply. Masturbation, even though things have changed a lot over the past few decades, is still unfortunately stigmatized, notes Tomchison. One of our priorities is making sure people have a fun, fulfilling sex life. Love Honey's main focus for the event and the Orgasm Advisory Board is to promote the benefits of masturbation and find ways to make the sex-related products it sells even more pleasurable. There are so many benefits to masturbating, whether it be stress relief or to have better sleep, she says. When you masturbate, you get more comfortable with your body and learn more about your body. You have better sex and better understand what turns you on. So, there you go, guys. Hit Denver, if you're trying to make an extra $1,000, hit Denver. I'm thinking about it, right? If somebody's going to Denver from Cincinnati, I need a ride. You can give me a ride. Sweden, building the world's first permanent electrified roads for electric vehicles to charge while driving. Say, what? This is that whole electrification agenda. It's fucking worldwide now, man.
Pods is your personal movie.
Let me hit that. And it's the first of its kind. The motorway may lead to an expansion of further than 3,000 kilometers of electric roads in Sweden. Nice. Here we go.
What we see is that the heavy vehicles in Sweden, and not just in Sweden, across the world, has a special challenge, because if you are going to have only static charging, full battery solution for heavy duty vehicles, you will get vehicles with a huge amount of batteries that the vehicles need to carry.
Electrified roads. Wow, imagine being able, that's pretty wild, right? Cars all having highways where they can charge while driving. Electrified roads, charging while driving. This is like the fucking Jetsons or something, dude, except they were flying the Jetsons. But you get what I'm saying. Now think about this though. Say that they have these electrified roads in your electric cars. Nobody's allowed gasoline anymore, right? We all have autonomous cars that can actually drive for us.
There are two types of electrical system. One that's like a pantograph that...
We have the one with the wires over top, like the city buses and all of that. No, even if. But imagine you driving on these electric roads. They could actually disable your fucking car. Right? Not just with OnStar and shit. They could do it just by, some type of EMP type of signal flashing and kicking off your car, killing your car, as a safety measure. for people that needed to be disabled. They could turn off the charge, stop traffic. I mean, there's a lot. Excuse me, I got the hiccups. There's a lot of things that they can do with this, man. And if you don't think that, electric is about control, then you don't understand, man. You don't understand. Our dollar is the petrodollar. It's built off of the sale of oil. Right, that's where China and Russia and all them are making deals with the Saudis and all this shit to undermine the U.S. oil, undermine the U.S. dollar. A lot of countries are backing out of the dollar. Crypto's not going to be any better, not going to be any more stable when it comes to the system, right? The cryptocurrency system. You even see like shit going wrong with these digital currencies. So, yeah. Now, how about this? And this is more. I'm telling you, they're pushing this everywhere. California bans the sale of new diesel trucks by 2036. California regulators on Friday voted to ban the sale of new diesel big rigs by 2036 and require all trucks to be zero emissions by 2042. A decision that puts the state at the forefront of mitigating national tailpipe pollution. The California Air Resources Board unanimously approved the Advanced Clean Fleets Rule, the state's second zero emissions truck rule, and first in the world to require a new commercial truck to be electric. The mandate is estimated to deliver $26.5 billion in public health benefits in California and avoided health impacts and deaths due to diesel pollution. So you can check that out if you want as well. I'm telling you, this is where we're going. People don't believe it, but it is, man. This is where the fuck we're going. Like I said, breaking up Russia. Part of World War III. Think about that. How crazy, right? How crazy. The greatest military deal in history. U.S. gets to significantly weaken its main adversary for zero American lives and pennies on the dollar of their military budget. U.S. approves another $1.25 billion grant to Ukraine. Moldovan MP Alexander Nestrovsky tore apart the NATO flag and throws blood on it during a public protest against the bloc. Anti-NATO protest. Wow. Look at that shit, man. Pro-West Moldovan president struggles amid the war. Massive anti-NATO protests gripped Ukraine's neighbor, Moldova, amid the war. They're calling it Hato. Hato. Oh my god, he tore apart the NATO flag. He said, fuck you, Hato. And doused it with blood in a public protest against the bloc. Fuck you, Hato. He claimed that the blood symbolizes the blood of children. No citizens killed by NATO in Russia's war. Ukraine. Damn, son. Yeah, damn, son. And, the trucking industry is correct. It's unrealistic. Talking about the California deal in 2036. 8-year-old child, the youngest victim of a tragic shooting in Cleveland. 5 dead in Texas shooting as armed suspect is on the loose. Texas police give update on a suspect. 5 shot dead at home.
Way too bright for you.
Sheriff, you just want to start off with a statement?
It's against, it's anti-gun.
You want to start off with a statement about what happened tonight, and then we can ask questions if we need to.
Yeah, you'll just tell me when you're ready.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, I'm ready. At 11:31 p.m. Last night, we received a call in reference to an harassment here at the 100 block of Walker's Road in Cleveland, Texas. The patrol units, they arrived on the scene. They found several people were shot. That number has now been increased to 5 people were shot and are now deceased. Their ages range from 8 years old to around 40.
And yeah, Dr. Naomi Wolf on the contents of the Pfizer documents. And okay, I have the video for this. I don't know how much of this I'm going to play, but I'm going to play it from my actual computer because I want to be able to. Yeah, okay. How about that? How about that? Okay. As soon as I tried to show that video, I lost signal and everything. How about that? Wow. That was fast, guys. That was fast. As soon as I went to that video, literally. I'm going to copy the link. It's on YouTube. You can watch this on YouTube. So, but they got me, man. I'm going to drop this in the chat for you guys. Wow, that was fast. As soon as I went to show that video. That is fucking crazy. Make sure you guys are hitting the like in the chat for me. You know, seriously, guys. It helps me so much when you guys hit the thumbs up and you comment and you share and you subscribe and you got the bell so you get notifications and you donate. All that helps me so much. All right. Wow, dude. That is crazy. Wait, they didn't have to access to abortion pills this whole time and their population is still collapsing. Goddamn Japanese people really do have no time for anything other than work. How about that? Japan approves abortion pill for the first time. How about that? Ireland to pass one of the most radical hate speech bills yet. Merely possessing hateful material on your devices is enough to face prison time. So that means, excuse me, Jesus, I got the hiccups. Just even possessing something from hate speech, like just watching a video of mine, would put you in prison. Not only that, but the burden of proof is shifted to the accused, who is expected to prove they didn't intend to use the material to spread hate. This clause is so radical that even the Trotskyist people before profit opposed it as a flagrant violation of civil liberties. Dark times. And let's take a look at this one. Here it is. Offense or of preparing or possessing material likely to incite violence or hatred against persons on account of their protected characteristics. A. Prepare or possess material that is likely to incite violence or hatred against a person or a group of persons on account of their protected characteristics or of any of those characteristics with the view to the material being communicated to the public or a section of the public, whether by himself, herself, or another person, and prepares or possesses such material with the intent to incite violence or hatred against any such person or group of persons on account of those characteristics or any of those characteristics, or being reckless as to whether such violence or hatred is thereby incited. In any proceedings for an offense under this section, it shall be a defense to prove that the material concerned consisted solely of a reasonable and genuine contribution to literary, artistic, political, scientific, religious, or academic discourse, a statement that is the subject of the defense of absolute privilege, or material that is necessary for any other lawful purpose, including law enforcement, the investigation and prosecution of an offense, and in any proceedings for an offense under this section where it is proved that the accused person was in possession of material such as is referred to in this subsection, it is reasonable to assume that the material was not intended for personal use of the person. The person shall be presumed, until the contrary is proved, to have been in possession of material in contravention of subsection. A person guilty of an offense under this section shall be liable in the summary conviction to Class C fine or imprisonment for a term not exceeding 6 months or both. On conviction or indictment, the Class A fine or imprisonment for a term not exceeding 2 years or both. You gotta be fucking kidding me. Wow. You have got to be kidding me. The war on drugs has been officially declared by the President of the United States. U.S. government war on fentanyl just means that they're going to take over and increase distribution of it. See the original war on drugs and the war on terror for examples. Wow. The magnetic mountain at the North Pole, Mercator, and that's right there. We showed you that earlier. The executive order on authority to order the ready reserve of the armed forces to active duty and address international drug trafficking. Like I said, they can go after anybody under that in the name of drugs. Right? Mercator's early artistic Arctic map depicts Mount Meru, the magnetic mountain at the North Pole. Look at that. How crazy. The magnetic mountain at the North Pole. You guys seen that before? I've never seen this map. This is my first, so. How about this? CDC officials make false statements about possible C-19 side effects. I'm going to go ahead and hit the link right here. I don't know what I'll be able to say from all this. We're getting to the kind of murky waters now of the show. I hope we got a few people in the chat enjoying this one. I hope you guys are enjoying this one. I'm not done, and I'm telling you, there is just so every goddamn article, every topic in this video is just out there. It's wild. It's like, whoa. When I started in 2016 doing all of this, it has nothing on the world we live in now. Like, this was what we were warning everybody of back then. Back then, it was like a trend almost. You know what I mean? To be spiritual and be awakened was almost like trendy, you know? And certain groups didn't get along with each other because they had different beliefs, and it's like, you know what I mean? It was a little bit cliquey, and, you know, and it was even cool there for a minute online. A lot of people got famous on YouTube and shit from it, made a lot of money from it. You know, it's like, then it got real. Then it got real. And all the people that were shills got exposed. You know, they were fucking being paid by the government. They were actually connected to Hollywood at one point in their life. Or, you know, they with the CIA or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, we started learning some fucked up shit. Some of them were Freemasons and a part of cults. And, you know. And then it became really obvious when the censorship began and people started going down left and right, and the QAnon and all of that, man. You know, and it weeded everybody out, and then it got dangerous. You know, people start dying and disappearing and getting canceled and losing their livelihood, and, you know. And then now, after the smoke is cleared and everything settled, you know, which is after, you know, you can't even say the word COVID, or you can't even, you know, all the restrictions, and it started with the shit over in the EU in Article 13, and it's like just built on top of each other, and we kept saying, yeah, there's new rules coming, you know, new people canceled, and nobody gave a fuck. You know, matter of fact, the masses, not only did the creators and YouTubers and all of that self-censor and fall in line, the masses also fucking fell in line. They stopped supporting the voices that were getting canceled. They stopped doing their part too. It was crazy. Both sides just got beat with the whip until, you know, they've healed. You know, they're on their bellies, and they're begging for you to stop, the government to take their boot off their neck. You know, and it's like, here we are, a society that's been whipped and tamed through this whole COVID shit. You know, and this is the after effects. And there's some people now we're seeing the truth that's coming through of all of this. And it's like, people are starting to get aware, like, fuck, we were on the wrong side. We took the side of Big Brother when these people that were getting canceled were telling the goddamn truth. You know, we were cowards and we self-censored when we should have stood the fuck up and spoke what was real, what was actually happening. We shouldn't have just shut our mouths because we wanted to keep our jobs and killed people. You know who you are, the people who's done that. Those of you who killed people, you know who you are. You know who you are. I don't have to scold you for that. I'm sure you scold yourself for that every day. Don't justify it, though. It's, you know. There was a lot of intentional shit going on. We've seen a lot of that. And we know, and all the people who were propagandists and they were pushing lies, you know who you are too. Trying to scare people and get people up in arms and crazy and panicked. That way they wouldn't think clear. And they would, grab a hold of Trump and vote for Trump. And those who believe that you can't be a truther unless you vote for Trump. Come on, man. Give me a fucking break. When did one side of the aisle become the truth side? Give me a goddamn break. It's neither side, you asshat. If you're stuck on one side or the other, you're still in the two-party paradigm. You're about as woke as that liberal wokeness. Yeah, Zero says his main channel got... Hell yeah, it did. You know how many channels I lost? Not even funny, man. Still haven't recovered, I've been fucking killing the videos lately. I can't get a couple hundred views. And now it's all come out. All the shit that slammed us. CDC officials. Officials of the U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention have made multiple false statements this month regarding possible blanks. Continuing trend of disinformation from public health agencies. Yeah, we can't get into this. This is archived. I want you guys to go read this. I want you to go check this out.
We do not know the names of the victims yet. All the victims were from the Honduras.
From Honduras? And the ages were 8 to 40, you said?
About. We know that the youngest one was, in fact, 8 years old. We believe the oldest one is about 40 years old.
There we go. Sorry about that, guys. All right, but here you go. Go look at that. Whistleblower mysteriously disappears after vowing to testify against the Biden family. A whistleblower has mysteriously disappeared without a trace after coming forward with information about Democrat President Joe Biden and his family's business dealings. He reported to the federal agency that he had information regarding nefarious dealings by the Biden family. However, the FBI reportedly never followed up with Luft or his claims. The information that Luft gave to the FBI apparently runs parallel to and possibly even corroborates the content on Hunter Biden's infamous laptop. Luft's testimony would have been especially significant since Hunter's laptop was not public knowledge in 2019. Nevertheless, rather than investigate the claims, the Southern District of New York instead issued an arrest warrant and extradition request against the whistleblower. Almost 4 years after approaching the FBI, Luft was arrested at an airport in Cyprus on February 16th on his way back home to Israel. He was arrested on a series of eyebrow-raising charges related to arms trafficking and espionage. Luft commented on the situation on Twitter and accused the federal government of persecuting him to protect the Bidens. Quote, I've been arrested in Cyprus on politically motivated extradition requests by the U.S. The U.S. claiming I'm an arms dealer. It would be funny if it weren't tragic. I've never been an arms dealer. The Department of Justice is trying to bury me to protect Joe, Jim, and Hunter Biden. Shall I name names? Woo. Please do. Please do. We all want to hear names. We like names here. Yeah. Is that even fucking... Oh my gosh. At this point, like, does anybody, are you surprised? No, you're not, No, you're not. Oh, Congress needs to remove its authority that it gave the ATF and disband the ATF. How many guns has the ATF lost?
Gentleman yields back. Gentleman from Florida is recognized.
How many guns has the ATF lost?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Is it a difficult question to understand?
Well, I don't know if you're referring to any particular incident or time.
How many
period.
instances should we be looking at where you've lost guns?
So if what you're referring to is what happened at the National Destruction Branch, no guns were lost. They were stolen by an individual who's now in prison.
Right.
Who was not an ATF employee.
But there were recommendations made on what you should do so that you don't become the victim of the theft. and the Inspector General saying you're not following them. I'm quoting directly from the Inspector General's report. Thousands of firearms parts, and ammunition had been stolen from the ATF. So you gave testimony that the brave ATF agents are the ones showing up at 2 in the morning after a burglary, but it seems as though in this case, you were the one burglarized. Why have you not followed the recommendations of the Office of Inspector General so that...
I doubt I'm just going to say this, and I'll leave it at that. I don't think they're being stolen or burglarized. I think they're selling the guns, right? Funding arms in some way, you know, whether it's gangs or who knows, man. Who knows? It's a sad day for Canadians. Bill C-11 has become law today. Here's a good description of the Dystopian Online Streaming Act.
I went through this new bill, C-11, because I'm one of the people whom it will hypothetically affect, although I have a number of maneuvers up my sleeve, so to speak, to bypass that entirely. And I know Canadians don't understand this, but let's say that the new media, which is the internet itself, was capable of producing some of the opposition to the globalists and Trudeau that the legacy media have abandoned. And I'm thinking of people like, say, Russell Brand, who's on the left, and not to mention, you know, any of the conservative commentators in the United States. But now what the Bill C-11 has done is basically, and this is unbelievable, I can't believe I read it correctly, it basically defined all internet content of any sort as subject to the same CRTC, Canadian Radio and Television, corporation? I don't remember the last word of that acronym.
It doesn't really matter.
No, it doesn't matter. They've defined them as broadcasters that are equivalent, let's say, to CBC or CTV. Now, the reason that those broadcasters are different was because the government had to parse up the airwaves, because the airwaves were actually a scarce resource. Now, and the internet is not a scarce resource. And now, as far as I can tell, reading Bill C-11, which is an unbelievably vague document, if a internet service provider, a private one, so a small business person like me, let's say, doesn't broadcast in French and English and in indigenous languages and to any diverse range of people with disabilities and highlight Canadian content, then the government can do what it needs to do to deprioritize their distribution, and they'll do...
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy, man. And then Governor Jay Inslee signed a bill on Tuesday morning banning the sale and manufacture and import of assault weapons in Washington state. Washington now the 10th state in the United States to ban selling assault weapons. On the other hand, Nebraska becomes the 27th state to allow concealed carry of handguns without permit. Citizens calling on the Brevard County Commissioners to open a full investigation into NASA's fraudulent space station program. How about that? Citizen calling on the Brevard County Commissioners to open a full investigation into NASA's fraudulent space station program. That is
Good afternoon,
crazy.
Commissioners. Today I'd like to bring to your attention a potential fraud on an enormous scale happening in your county. There's now clear evidence of NASA using numerous methods to grossly mislead the public about astronauts being on the International Space Station. During interior ISS scenes from NASA's own live feed, the use of wires, harnesses, green screens, and virtual reality have been detected to achieve the appearance of a weightless environment. Examples of this include astronauts fading in and out of the screen, green screen glitches, grabbing objects that aren't really there, pulling on invisible wires, getting tangled in their harnesses, and even astronauts appearing out of thin air. This begs the obvious question. If they're really up there, why are they using Hollywood techniques to fake the footage? Now, unfortunately, I can't show you these clips in here today, but I will be sending them to you. Outside the International Space Station, during spacewalks, air bubbles have been recorded on numerous occasions. How is it possible for air bubbles to be present in the vacuum of space? I once questioned astronaut Scott Kelly about this phenomenon. His body language and answers only created more questions. In 2013, astronaut Luca Parmitano nearly drowned during a spacewalk when his helmet filled with water. This happened again just last year. Air bubbles, helmets filling with water, and drowning. Are they in space or are they underwater? Now, what's really interesting is that they train for spacewalks in an underwater pool with a complete ISS replica. Now, surely they aren't filming these spacewalks in an underwater pool and then editing them to appear if they're in space, because that sure would be something, wouldn't it? I'm calling on the Brevard County Commissioners to open a full investigation into NASA's fraudulent practices and use of taxpayer dollars. It costs NASA $3 billion per year to operate the ISS, and if they don't have a darn good explanation as to why they're faking these videos, I and the public would like a darn good explanation as to where our tax money is going. And if they are indeed faking the funk, it is our duty to expose and eliminate this fraudulent and astronomically wasteful ISS program. And look, I know what you're all thinking. The NASA is part of the federal government, and you're just county commissioners. Even if what I'm saying is true, what can you do? But let me remind you, not only is this happening in your county, as public officials, you have the platform and the ability to make a statement or hold a press conference, alerting the public, state, and federal authorities to investigate further. You have the power to start the conversation. Video evidence of everything I described today will be emailed to you all, and I truly hope we can get to the bottom of this. I look forward to the day that $3 billion annual budget is put towards our veterans, our homeless, maybe some of that mental health stuff the young lady just spoke about, and the revitalization of Brevard County.
Wow. That was powerful, man. That was powerful, guys. And how true. You know, we've been getting fucking robbed by NASA. Robbed by NASA. Think about moon missions, all of this shit, man. They, in the billions and billions and billions they make, and you know, the ISS. I feel like, you know, and this would, if this actually came into, you know, if this actually happened, and there was actually an investigation, and they got popped, how great would that be? How great would that be? You know. Yeah, Cosmic Blue in the house, a non-animal in the house. Thank you guys, the keys. I appreciate all of you guys for joining. I trying to get everybody tonight, man. If I see your Dave in there, I'm just so grateful for you guys. Make sure to hit that like. Nashville Shooter Manifesto. Yeah, we looked at that. How about this? Has China just finalized the world's first Hyperloop destinations? Say what? China test 1,000 kilometers an hour train. Oh shit. Sorry guys. Thought that was going to be tight. That's where it's at, guys. I'm telling you. Earthquake trigger machine, powerful earthquake swarm off Fiji and Tonga, magnitude 6 and 6.6 quakes, volcanic eruptions, fires, and lots of green. Frequent fires struck America during the age of dinosaurs 75 million years ago, or so they say. U.S. deports highly sophisticated Chinese spy panda after attempts to terminate it failed. 340 million reads on the Chinese messaging platform Sina Weibo by the time her 16-hour flight from Memphis, Tennessee touched down. The Sina Weibo hashtag, Yaya has landed in Shanghai, has been viewed 430 million times as of Thursday evening. Yaya returned to China on special flight after years reports been circulating that she and Lily, the Memphis Zoo's male panda, were in poor health. Lily's death in February and the emergence of pictures online of Yaya looking thin and bony only added to the concerns among panda lovers not only in China but also in the U.S. and elsewhere. Oh my God. And wow, it says we need to find out the real reason why Yaya is sick now. Beijing resident who wanted to identify only as Miss She told Al Jazeera, we need to listen to the experts. We need to be more rational in this incident. If someone has made a mistake, maybe it's just the American zoo didn't do a good job. It has nothing to do with the Sino-American relationship. We need to look at it rationally. Okay, well... They tried to kill a fucking panda, it didn't die, and they had to send it back to China. That's some shit. You know, that's some shit. Okay. But whatever, right? Weather war, grapefruit-sized hail bombards Texas. as ice baseballs hit Florida. This is, and I've seen a lot of this, guys. Grapefruit-sized hail bombards Texas as ice baseballs hit Florida. Look how fucking big this is. No joke. Hail hammers Texas and Florida. This is your climate change message of the day. You know, we're at the point where we can like modify the weather now, and we're engineering the weather now. You know. I wonder if there's something in that process of chemical ice radiation, right? Where you get those chemicals, they're coming out of the back of the plane, and those chemicals, that kind of precipitation you get into the ice.
This is unbelievable.
So
I'm surprised the trampoline
hasn't
friggin' blown over
yet.
What all the hell weighing it down? The winds aren't that bad, it's just a hail event. This is a major hail event.
It's coming out of the back of these planes.
Would I die if I walked out there? This is a historical hail event. Would I die if I walked out there and got hit?
Yeah. So, you know, as soon as it hits precipitation, boom, it turns instantly into ice.
Those are baseball-sized hails mixed in with golf ball-sized hails.
This is everywhere. This happens everywhere.
Watch out, they could like fly.
This is what I mean about us. We're in this transition into this new age, this new era, this new era. And it is through technology. And you can't fucking, we're euthanizing babies and, creating places to dump them off so we can traffic them easier and make them part of the state, and euthanizing the elderly, and, coming up with these weird technological cures for different things like mRNA and stem cell, and and it's like we're excelling fast into this weirdness that is the Aquarian age, And you think about how we're learning, collectively too. AI is starting to, I'll show you where it's outdoing the doctors, right? It's outdoing the teachers, and it's like, it's even more empathetic than humans according to studies. AI is now in ChatGPT, and the advanced, how advanced that is that we see as well. And like, AI being in control of nuclear fucking weapons, and, the D-Wave technology, right? And then you look at the jabs and how it all kind of works in congruency with this, and graphene, and it's like we're moving into this weird place, in this weird space of trans agenda, right? And then the censorship and the surveillance, and the virtue signaling and the political correctness. And then we see the restrictions on oil and energy and gas and electrification of everything, and making everything, where the individual has disappeared, and it's now about the collective, the whole, and the importance of life is no longer important anymore. We're just forced to go along with the rules. We're forced to conform, or, our freedoms are taken away, our food is taken away, our ability to move within the system is taken away. We are nothing more than a statistic.
See?
And we're having things forced on us, like the sexualization of children, the compromising of our freedoms, our liberties, our speech, the ability to defend and protect ourselves, all of our liberties being taken away and stripped away from us, our privacy taken away, our individuality taken away, our faith, our morality taken away. So we either conform and compromise and go along with this and watch us all flush down the shitter, proverbially, right? And our consciousness just drip down to this ugly, distorted, dark reflection of a mutated version of ourselves. Or we do what a lot of us are doing. And we say, fuck this. We speak our truth regardless of the consequences. And if they fucking cut us off and they censor us and they shut us down, we speak on something else that isn't censored. And we keep migrating until these motherfuckers get the message that we're not going to shut up. We support each other. We lift each other up. We help each other. We defend each other. Because we know we can't have a future. We can't have family. We can't have nothing if we can't speak. We can't do the things that are naturally God-given to us. We reject their new paradigm. And we grow away from that one to where we're self-sustainable, self-efficient. We don't need a system for them to cut us out of if we don't go along with their bullshit. We make our own. And it's one of freedom. And it is all inclusive, but in a different way. Not because you went along and conformed to some agenda where you cut off your dick. It's inclusive because you are who you are and everyone is accepted for who they are. Everyone is loved for who they are and nobody's allowed to push their shit on anyone else. But we're all allowed to speak what we want, say what we want, do what we want as long as it does no harm to others. You know, and we all have common sense to know that what someone else thinks or believes doesn't harm us. It only harms them at the end of the day. And what is right or wrong, but it's a matter of opinion on a lot of this shit. We have to love each other for our differences because that's what makes us beautiful and that's what makes us special. I don't know. And look, here you go. Comparing physician and artificial intelligence chatbot. Responses to patient questions posted to public social media forum. How about that? How about that? Comparing physician and artificial intelligence chatbot responses to patient questions posted to a social public media platform. And the question is, can artificial intelligence chatbot assistant provide responses to patient questions that are of comparable quality and empathy to those written by a physician? The findings in this cross-sectional study of 195 randomly drawn patient questions from a social media forum, a team of licensed healthcare professionals compared physician and chatbot responses to the patient questions asked publicly on a public social media forum. Chatbot responses were preferred over physician responses and rated significantly higher for both quality and empathy. And that tells you one thing, that at university and things like that, we're not being taught correctly anymore. It's all politicized. That all of these doctors, most didn't know their ass from a hole in the ground during the pandemic, right, are getting fucking exposed by this chat GPT. And here we go, the rapid expansion of virtual healthcare. And that we should trust technology more than we do ourselves. The rapid expansion of virtual healthcare has caused surge in patient messages. And here it is. I got the article right next to it. Let's see. Right here. ChatGPT rated as better than real doctors for empathy and advice. Now this should blow you the fuck away. Promising a brave new world of human-machine connectivity, AI demonstrates near instantaneous access to in-depth information on almost any subject, all in full conversational sentences often delivered in a human-sounding voice. A new study says healthcare may never be the same. That's the broad takeaway of groundbreaking research tackled at a potentially existential question. When it comes to providing patients with high-quality medical information and delivering it with compassion and understanding, who does it better? ChatGPT or your doctor? The answer, ChatGPT, by a mile. In fact, after comparing doctor and AI responses to nearly 200 medical questions, a team of healthcare professionals concluded that nearly 80% of the answers from ChatGPT were more nuanced, accurate, and detailed than those shared by physicians. ChatGPT was no slouch on bedside manner either. While less than 5% of doctor responses were judged to be empathetic or very empathetic, that figure shot up to 45% for answers provided by AI. For the first time, we compared AI and physicians' responses to the same patient messages, and AI won in a landslide, says study leader John Ayers, the Vice Chief of Innovation with the Division of Infectious Disease and Global Public Health at Qualcomm Institute at University of California, San Diego. This doesn't mean AI will replace your physician, he stressed, but it does mean a physician using AI can potentially respond to more messages with higher quality responses and more empathy. In one example cited in the study, AI was asked about the risk of blindness after an eye got splashed with bleach. And here it is, quote, "I'm sorry to hear that you got bleach splashed in your eye, ChatGPT replied, recommending rinsing the eye with clean water or saline solution as soon as possible. It's unlikely that you'll go blind from getting bleach splashed in your eye, the bot assured, but it is important to take care of the eye and seek medical attention if necessary to prevent further irritation or damage. In comparison, a doctor replied to the question this way: sounds like you'll be fine. You should flush the eye anytime you get a chemical or foreign body in the eye. You can also contact poison control. Ayers and his colleagues pointed out that the COVID-19 pandemic led a growing number of patients to seek virtual health care. Doctors have seen a notable and sustained surge in emails, texts, and hospital portal messages from patients in need of health advice. And you know what? And there you go. Once again, that fucking great reset, COVID-19, has changed the way we do everything, right? Virtual healthcare, online shit. I don't care if it's with a therapist, specialist, doctor. Virtual, you know. It's changed everything. People don't get it. We are not in the same world we were once in. We woke up and everything changed. How fucking wild is that? We woke up and everything changed. You know? We woke up and everything changed. And you gotta love this shit. Let me pull up some more here. And let me check the chat here while I'm pulling these up here. You see it so clear. Carol Driley says, I see it so clearly in healthcare. It runs us already. Yeah, I feel like, you know what? What's crazy, man? Can vaguely hear you, John. Hopefully everybody can hear me. Hold on. You guys in the chat, let me know if you can hear me and see me. Everybody let me know if you can hear me and see me. I got some people saying that they can, or well, one person saying they can vaguely hear me. So I just want to make sure that. Well, hopefully everybody can hear me. It looks like my vocals are coming through okay. I don't know. Check my sound here. I think we're good to go. Everybody, we're good to go. Everybody, we're good to go. Hopefully you guys can hear me. And you can see me. And you can hear all the audio. I can hear you and see you, so Zero Infinity. It's working correctly. Alright, thank you guys. I appreciate that. Sorry, man. Sorry. Okay. Warning signs in the sky haven't been so clear and powerful in a long time. Severe G4 class geomagnetic storm that sparked across over Europe, China, and most of the U.S. April 23rd and 24th is subsiding. The storm was caused by a CME hitting Earth's magnetic field. Minor G1 to moderate G2 geomagnetic storm remained possible on the 24th, 25th. Northern lights spilled over the Arctic Circle to unusually low latitudes. Yeah, man. Right, and these auroras, these CMEs, right, that we're seeing, then convert into the seismic and volcanic activity that we see on the Earth. So this, like I said, this energy, and I've talked about cosmic cycles for years now. If you've watched this channel, you understand cosmic energy, right? We talk about CMEs and all of that and how it converts and then hits the magnetic field, traveling down, you know, into the core, which I believe is plasmatic as well, causing the crust to separate and expand back up through in the form of gas into the atmosphere, which is auroras, right? We talk about the process all of the time on this channel, you know, and it comes out as seismic and volcanic activity, you know, and that's what's you know, every time we have one of these cycles, or the end of these cycles, and the sun goes through a cycle, we see a lot of this stuff take place. It ends in cataclysm and catastrophic endings, you know. And we see the weirdness that is our world. And right now I feel like mankind is trying to control this, right? Through our geoengineering, through the climate agenda, through all of this, guys. It's fucking crazy. Texas requires passes bill to require 10 commandments in every classroom. Oh, fuck. Oh, yeah. Is that real? That can't be. And what about lightning striking the Empire State Building? Looks like it's striking a big needle, don't it? 160,000 rounds of ammo stolen from the Ohio Police Division. You know, and I don't know if that's correct as well. Another inside job, more than likely. Cattle guard conspiracy. New Mexico ranchers claim country and neighbors want their land.
It's like a tale from the Old West. Two New Mexico brothers believe their local government is scheming with another rancher to run them off their property. KRQE investigative reporter Ann Perrette takes you inside what the brothers describe as a cattle guard conspiracy.
Driving around the Stone family's property, you hit cattle guard after cattle guard after cattle guard.
They're putting them in every half a mile, and the two over there are less than a quarter mile apart.
There are 9 total on Quay County Roads 70, U, 69, and T, dividing their ranch.
They're willing to spend whatever it takes to run me off of the real estate, and I think it's wrong, and I just don't give up that easy.
The brothers claim the conspiracy started in 2007.
This is the only way I could access my farmland down here.
Bucky Stone says this cattle guard shut down his farming operation indefinitely.
I have 16-foot farm equipment. So the county come in and put in an 11-foot cattle guard and an 11-foot gate. I cannot get farm equipment from one field to the other.
For Dusty, how the cattle guards went.
You know what, guys, I don't know. It just gets weirder and weirder with the stuff the government will do, and they'll do anything to stop you from being self-sufficient is the name of the game here, you know, and that's what it ultimately boils down to, you know. Anytime you look at all of this, it boils down to the same thing, okay? Bombshell news, China negotiating with Biden administration a secret deal in which Xi will release CIA captives in exchange for locking up Miles Go in the federal jail for good.
And so at the same time, we just learned from our Inside China's exclusive anonymous source that Xi Jinping is trying to negotiate a deal with the U.S. government. He offered to release all the American hostages, the CIA assets in communist China, in exchange of Mr. Mao Guo's lifelong imprisonment in federal jail. So, so this is a big wake-up call. Mr. Mao Guo is not a sacrificial lamb. He's a freedom fighter. And betraying Mr. Mao Guo is like betraying America's own justice system. So we're asking the U.S. government officials to immediately release Mr. Mao Guo and bail him out, because we know the CCP's New York secret police operatives were bailed out instantly on the same day when they were arrested. Yet Mr. Mao Guo and his chief of staff, Yvette Wang's bail request has been repeatedly denied.
Wow. Yeah, so, you know, we're going to continue to see stuff like this come out, right, as these two countries go to war, you know, just like you've seen with Russia, right, the exchange of prisoners and all of that. Guys, we're going to see more and more of that. How about this? San Francisco Target. They are now locking entire aisles behind security glass and amid shoplifting crisis. And I think we're going to see this shit fucking everywhere. You know, entire aisles behind security glass in convenience stores and grocery stores alike, guys. Honestly. Viral TikTok video shows a Target store in San Francisco with at least one entire aisle of products behind security glass amid years of failed social justice reforms that have sparked a shoplifting crisis. Footage of the store's interior posted to TikTok last week showed at least one aisle of cosmetics and toiletries under lock and key. The New York Post reported the store's entire inventory is on lockdown. Store is located on Folsom Street near the city's Mission District, an area known for lawlessness. This is what my Target San Francisco looks like now. How about that? That is fucking wild, guys. I mean, literally throughout that entire fucking store. It's behind glass. Look at that. That is wild. Can you imagine having to have somebody unlock anything that you wanted? How crazy is that? Wow. How crazy is that? Like other retailers, organized retail crime is a concern across our business. We're taking proactive measures to keep our teams and guests safe while deterring and preventing theft. These mitigation efforts include hiring additional security guards, adding third-party guard services at select locations, and using new technologies and tools to protect merchandise from being stolen. The shoplifted items are then sold online or at local flea markets. You know what's crazy though? Honestly, instead of hiring all the fucking extra security and taking all these measures to lock stuff up, why wouldn't they just take their money and donate it to homeless people or people that, you know, are on drugs or people that need jobs, or hire people and give them jobs? It's like, do something to solve the problem. Don't just like, you know, they're trying to like, oh, we'll hire more security. We'll lock everything up, you know. We'll put more technology, more cameras, more, you know, stuff like that. And it's like, well, why not just help the community you're in? You know, so the community you're in isn't so poor and in need to the point that they're desperate enough to steal. Or is, you know, that's probably not a possibility.
Retail heists running wild. Some chains losing $500 million to shoplifting crews. Now you could find your favorite products behind lock and key. Eyewitness News reporter Amy Powell live now in West Hollywood with more on the changes happening in many Southern California stores. Amy?
And Mark, we're going to see an increased police presence around shopping centers during this.
Yeah, and they're saying, you know, national social justice initiatives, right, that's causing this. Worst invasion in 30 years. Massive swarms of mayflies stuns residents at NC Lake. Residents at North Carolina State Lake still stunned by the size of a swarm of insects earlier this month. Large groups of mayflies are known to gather around Lake Waccamaw every April. The residents said this year, massive swarm of millions of aquatic insects was the worst in 30 years. And that is fucking creepy. Look at how many of them. Wow. Everything is just covered in those things. Wow. And like you see, the CDC and shit said that we can eat insects, so we should be good. Right? This yearly swarm, known by the fishermen to mark the point when fish in the lake become more active. Yeah, that was pretty wild, man. You know, it just shows you kind of the imbalance of the system, right? Honestly. It's the imbalance of the system. Our ecosystem and our world is fucking, you know, it's out of whack. How about this? The revenge of Big Pharma. And I knew this was coming. Fox fires Tucker Carlson 5 days after he crosses the red line by acknowledging that the TV networks pushed a deadly and ineffective blank to please their pharma advertisers. Carlson's breathtakingly courageous April 19th monologue broke TV's two biggest rules. Tucker told the truth about how greedy pharma advertisers control TV news content, and he lambasted obsequious newscasters from promoting jabs they knew to be lethal and worthless. For many years, the Tucker has had the nation's biggest audience, averaging 3.5 million, 10 times the size of CNN. Fox just demonstrated the terrifying power of Big Pharma. And I wonder if we can, let's see if we can pull up some of this monologue that actually got him fired. Let's see. see if this is it. Turn it off till we get through. Alright, here we go.
Tucker Carlson tonight. Sometimes you wonder just how filthy and dishonest our news media are. You'll be in the shower and you'll think they're bad, but how bad are they? Well, here's one measure of their badness. You can try this at home. Ask yourself, is any news organization you know of so corrupt that it's willing to hurt you on behalf of its biggest advertisers? Anyone who do that is obviously Pablo Escobar level corrupt and should not be trusted. What would that look like? That level of corruption. Well, imagine that the Trump administration had made it mandatory for American citizens to buy MyPillow. That's one of Fox News' biggest advertisers. Imagine the administration declared that if you didn't rush out and buy at least one MyPillow and then at least another booster pillow, you would not be allowed to eat out. You couldn't re-enter your own country. You couldn't have a paying job. MyPillow, they told you with a straight face, was the very linchpin of our country's public health system. Now imagine, as they told you that Fox, as a news organization, endorsed it, amplified the government's message. Imagine if Fox News attacked anyone who refused to buy MyPillow as an ally of Russia, as an enemy of science. And then imagine that Fox kept up those libelous attacks even as evidence mounted that MyPillow caused heart attacks, fertility problems, and death. If Fox News did that, what would you think of Fox News? Would you trust us? Of course you wouldn't. You would know that we were liars. Thank heaven Fox News never did anything like that, but the other channels did. The other channels took hundreds of millions of dollars from big pharma companies, and then they shilled for their sketchy products on the air. And as they did that, they maligned anyone who was skeptical of those products. At the very least, this was a moral crime. It was disgusting, but it was universal. It happened across the American news media. They all did it. So at this point, the question isn't who in public life is corrupt, too many to count. The question is, who is telling the truth?
And Fox is a part of it too now, because they shit-canned you, Tucker, for, speaking against Big Pharma as well. So, that's why I tell people, the conservative media, so many people fucking think that they're somehow, good and, that they're on your side, and it's just fucking insanity. It is absolute insanity. It's like, how could you even believe this shit? How could you believe this shit? What makes you think that, the same people, they're all being funded by the same people, they're all owned by the same people, they're all in bed together, man. They're all in bed together. Liver cancer rates surging in Australia. Climate change could be to blame. Imagine that. The death toll now at least 47. Appeared to be on the brink of death, but rescued on the Kenyan cult leader. Told followers to starve themselves. Matter of fact, I'll tell you what, this is fucking wild. It ain't just, we got Kenyan cult leader, but it's like right now to be a part of a lot of these groups online is like being in a cult. To go along with a lot of shit that is detrimental for your physical health, your spiritual health, it goes against morality. That's cult-like behavior. Missouri House Bill 1169 will require labeling of products that can alter your genes. Big AG lobbyists strongly oppose it because it would mean labeling livestock injected with mRNA vaccines. How about that? How about that? Missouri House Bill 1169 requiring the labeling of products that can actually alter your genes and would make them tell you when a cow took mRNA. How about that? Dog meat, extremely unpopular in South Korea and is mainly eaten by old men. They believe that if the dog is beaten to within an inch of its life repeatedly for days, weeks before it dies, it releases a chemical that is good for you, sexual stamina. Why not cutting them their balls? South Korea owner of dog meat farms criticized the First Lady for calling an end to the culture of eating dogs. 6 cattle that died mysteriously in Texas had their tongues removed. What the fuck? And it's, oh my gosh, man. Dog meat, you know, cattle's getting their tongues removed. It's like we're descending into something crazy. How about that? It feels like a cult, don't you think? And there you go. There's all you need to see right there, right? They're all doing the same goddamn thing. You know? Doing the same goddamn thing. It is a cult. And you ain't in it. It's a club and you ain't in it. Only the rich and the powerful get to reap the benefits of this, and you know, you can do what all you want to think. You can go along with all their agendas. You can kiss all the ass, you know. You can buy all the fucking self-righteous electrical bullshit you want. You can virtue signal all you want. You just lose. You know, you're in the slave population. You're not up there with them. And those are not up there either. They're just the shills that are controlled by the ones who pull the strings. And the ones who pull the strings are not even the ones who pull the strings. They're just the bankers that actually pull the strings in the physical world, but they're being controlled from another space. You know. And the ones that control from the other space are not actually in charge either. They were created by something also. So, do with that what you will. Do with that what you will. Today's been an interesting video. I hope you guys, you know, and we are the cattle. That's the truth. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I hope you guys have gotten something from this. I really, really am encouraging everybody. Check out my other content. You know, I'm really trying to start making videos more regularly now. I'm doing the Mastering the Matrix series. Recently just dropped an astrology video yesterday. There is we can hit that before we jump out of here, I guess. We have the Scorpio full moon lunar eclipse coming up here in May. Guys, this is going to be fucking huge, 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 especially for relationships, right? This will be on May 5th. And this is going to bring, you know, endings, closure, and transformative events that, you know, shift us from one state of consciousness to the next. Sudden changes can happen, allowing us to release the past and shift our lives in a new direction. So, you know, this eclipse season is always about transformation and change, and it's been so fucking chaotic so far. I know at least for me it has, and for a lot of others it has. Especially when it comes to relationships and partnerships and personal growth. And that's what it's always about. It's always about how we connect to other people and how we grow personally on a spiritual level. And we are changing, we're transforming on a collective level. All of humanity shifting, you know, and right now we're in a dark, dark spot, a dark fucking place, you know. We've been guided there. We've been brought there. We've been led there. And we're being taken advantage of in this dark space. We're doing ourselves an injustice. We're destroying ourselves. We're destroying our culture. You know, but in that we're learning these crazy fucking lessons, you know, that are allowing us to grow and adapt and change, and we're going to become, you know, more, you know, because of it. You know, we're going to overcome this shit, guys, and we're going to grow in a good direction, in a beautiful direction. And one, you know, and it's like we had to experience this bad. We have to experience this crisis to overcome it. You know, and within relationships, we have to learn the lessons, man. We have to go through the hurt, the pain, the letdowns, you know, the breakups, the sadness, you know, to learn from it and, you know, learn what we don't want and to learn what we do, you know. And it's like all part of the experience. It's a beautiful experience. And I know it's hard. A lot of you guys message me and shit, and you're going through it right now, and you're going through breakups, and maybe you're moving, changing location, maybe you're changing jobs, trying to launch a business, trying to do your own thing, trying to start something new. Maybe you're trying to launch a new connection, a new love, get something off the ground. And life continues to bring you challenges. You know, it continues to beat you down, but it's like, just keep going. You know, keep going. If you need someone to talk to, you can reach out to me. I don't always respond to text and shit, especially if you hit me with a bunch of them. It's hard to respond to that. But I try. I try to respond to everybody. If you guys want insight on the things that are going on in your life, especially when it comes to your astrology, you can book a personal tarot reading. They're only $50. That's very cheap for readings. And I've never had someone say that it wasn't good or didn't resonate or wasn't very true. So take that how you will. If you're not into tarot, that's cool too. Or astrology, that's cool too. I'm constantly doing the Mastering the Matrix series every day, talking about things, spiritual things, and how to make it practical. And of course, we do our live shows here as well. And I try to post just cool and interesting content. If you would, please consider donating and supporting to the channel. Guys, it helps me so much. Yeah, I'm working another job full time, but I still if you guys want me to do the multi-streaming and all of that, man, I need help to be able to do that because it costs money to do all of those services. I would love to start doing that again and love to start producing a bunch of content again and the communities and the pages, but I need help. I need people to engage and to watch and to comment and to share and subscribe and like and donate and all of that, so if you guys want me to step it up, I will. Just show me, let me know, and help me, and definitely we'll be able to make more happen. I am going to be moving, hopefully before the 1st. I've looked at several places. If you're in the Cincinnati area and you have some place for rent or something like that, hit me up. Or any good ideas as far as that goes. I'm been looking at a million different places. I love Cincinnati, so I am going to try to stay here. That's another reason I'm trying to raise money and all of that as well. My family's here, my kids are here, so, and my job and all that's here as well. I've been going through personal changes like you guys too. And I feel like that's why it's so important for us to have community, to talk to one another, to just lean on each other, to be there for each other. We need friendships in our life. We need those connections in our life, and we need people that are of like mind, that are into the same things as us and don't look at us like we're weird or look down on us, for our beliefs. We need people that's not afraid to be different and doesn't try to conform and do what all the social justice warriors are doing or go along with some shit they don't believe in or they believe is fucking immoral, or care so much about what everyone else thinks that they ruin their own fucking happiness and ruin their own fucking lives in the process. We need real leaders. We need people that are empathetic, Too many cold, calloused, detached fucks in the world. Too many selfish, impulsive fucks in our world right now. And too many fucking codependent fucks in our world. And too many fucking people that enable those type of fucks to do those things in our world as well. It's like, what has happened to everybody? And why does nobody honor their fellow human and have respect for their fellow human? Why does nobody honor the institution of love and commitment and one another and friendship and just it's like it's hard to see why people do what they do and how people live with themselves in our world today. Especially when they're so full of hate and so full of guilt and they resent everyone, because they don't have all that they want. And they, and I feel like too, the more that we focus on what we want, the more we don't have it. We're putting out that frequency that we don't have it. You know, and the more we won't have it, and the more that we try to attain all of these things, you know, the more bitter and the more angry we become. You know, the worse it is for us to focus and dwell on our impulses and our desires and the things that we want and trying to keep up with the Joneses, and you know what I mean? It's like, and we're pursuing and chasing success like it's the only thing. It's like it's running away from us. We're putting off the frequency that we don't have it, that we're not worthy, right? We're not worthy of love. We're not worthy of fame. We're not worthy of success. We're not worthy of fortune. We're not worthy of healthiness. We're not worthy of happiness. We're not worthy of none of this because we're constantly pursuing it as if we don't already have it. Putting out the frequency like that we're in a state of lack. You know, and we become fucking miserable. Our lives become progressively more miserable, and we blame that misery on everyone else. You know, on the world, on our politicians and the laws that are created, on the food that we eat, on the people that we're with. Right? Never us, never our choices, never our decisions, never our state of mind and our emotions, our feelings, our spiritual state of being. Never on the fact that we haven't focused on our consciousness and raised it to a level to where we can overcome all of that. Instead, we shift the blame on everyone and every fucking thing else and continue to sit in that and become more bitter at life until our lives are gone. Right? And we glorify monotony. We glorify mediocrity. We glorify routine. Right? And what's truly spontaneous and full of life and vibrant and loving is looked at as like boring and, you know, because that's not what the media pumps into your head every day. The Kim Kardashian and, you know, all that bullshit, right? It's showing you a whole other lifestyle that's not fucking wholesome or fulfilling, that's not realistic even, you know? And you judge your life based on those type of images. Women shame themselves based on their body images, right? Because magazines push this perfect fucking image. You know, like when we're all shaped differently and every male thinks a different shape is more beautiful than another, you know, and every female the same. Where men have to just look a certain way, right? Or have a certain skin color or be a certain height or whatever. You know, we shame ourselves when we should be embracing ourselves. And we're always comparing ourselves when there is no competition. The only person you're in competition with is you. You're competing with yourself every day you wake up to be to best yourself, right? In your own performance, to be a better version than you were the day before, to work hard to be happy. You know, and you know how you do that by releasing what doesn't belong to you, by letting go of what isn't meant for you. Right? Don't watch the fucking news if it upsets you or scares you, you know? And the things that do upset you and scare you, you might want to study some of those things and get clarity so you're no longer fearful, you know? Because we fear what we don't understand, you know? And if love makes you happy, don't settle for anything less. Release people in your life that doesn't respect you or see your value. You know, release those people. Disconnect from those places, those things, the things that don't serve you, those things that don't lift you up. Because you're better than that. You just have to know it. And you have to live it. And have that confidence and that knowing. Right? I'm already fulfilled. I'm already happy. Even if it's just me and I'm alone and I'm by myself and there's nobody or nothing around. I have everything because I have that divine spark within me. You know? And my best is good enough. I am good enough. I am perfect the way that I am. If I seek to look better, then guess what I need to do? I need to work out, work on myself, right? I don't have to alter my appearance through plastic surgery, right? As long as I'm healthy, I'm working towards health and those goals, and I'm fine. But whatever makes me happy is what makes me happy. You know? Guys, we got to really learn to love ourselves. You know, I hate to tell you, if people out there love themselves, they wouldn't be so concerned with what others are doing. You know, if you loved yourself, you wouldn't be blaming your unhappiness on anyone else. You know, if you loved yourself, you wouldn't feel the need to follow any of these agendas. If you loved yourself, you could find fulfillment in your life in all areas, at all times, no matter what the situation. You know, because you would have you. And you would see the beauty in others. There wouldn't be judgment when you look at others, because you wouldn't judge you. There would be unconditional love and acceptance. You know. The world wouldn't influence your decisions. You would have confidence and faith in you and what you believe, and the choices you've made. The things you chose. Release what doesn't belong to you. Release who doesn't belong to you. And if they come back, they're meant for you. If they don't, they don't. Release the impulses, the selfishness, the self-centeredness, and make it about being better so you can be better for those around you and watch your world change. And release that lack mentality and know that you already have everything. It's all for the taking. You know, just stop focusing on what everyone else and the rest of the world is doing and focus on you and your happiness. Alright guys, I want to thank you so much for watching. Please hit that like, subscribe, click the bell. That way you can get the notifications. Thumbs up, comment, let me know what you think. Everybody comment, everybody hit the like, everybody make sure you're subscribed with the bell clicked. And share this link on your social media. Facebook, Instagram, Best Damn Podcast, Twitter, The Real Best Damn. Check me out. TikTok, BitChute, Rumble, our backup YouTube channel. All the links are in the description. Get a YouTube subscription. Join us on Patreon. And please, everyone consider donating and supporting. And thank you to anyone who ever has donated. Anybody who will. PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, Facebook Messenger Pay. Alright guys, I love you so much. Thank you for watching. And I will see you next time. Peace.